you ever thought about marrying another person? Or maybe another being, you never know. Or maybe like something else, maybe a robot or maybe 2D image. Have you ever thought about marriage? I assume depending on your country, on your culture, on your maybe even religion, the rules about marriage will be completely different, and maybe even it is forbidden for you to marry the person or the being or whatever you would like to marry. That is a topic that we will touch upon today. Some information about marriage, different forms of it, and what is allowed, what is not allowed in different countries. More about that in a moment. But before we begin, I have to tell you that this is Yury Experience, and here I share my various experiences about different topics. I do currently one video per week. On Mondays I upload it, and if you enjoyed this video, please drop a like. You can also subscribe to the channel. You can also leave a comment, for example about marriage, or maybe about your marriage, or maybe about your future marriage. Let's go. Obviously, we start with the definition. What is marriage? What is an official definition of this word? Here's an official definition. In my own words, marriage is a union of spouses, between spouses, however many spouses and whatever these spouses are. There is no clear line what can and cannot be a spouse. Depending on the country, depending on the law system, spouse can be everything from human being to maybe some digital image, to some idea, to maybe even a ghost. But today we will mostly talk about marriage between humans, because I don't want to touch on other topics. Also because most of these topics are very special and specific to some countries, and a lot of these topics are kind of forbidden for different cultures anyway. What is also a marriage? Marriage in a lot of occasions is also a contract. It's not always a written contract, but it's like something like a contract between two people or many people, more than one, about their life together starting from that point. It could be responsibilities, or maybe what one person have to do in their relationship, what another person is not allowed to do, what some people are obligated to do to each other and to the society. And basically this contract is differently important to different parts of the society. To the country, you sometimes have, it depends on the country, you have to say the country, the place that you are living in, that you now have a family. And based on that, some law systems will work for you or will not work for you, because you are now part of this societal unit. Marriage is also a part of a culture institution. It is something that we do because we decided as a society, as a humanity, that it is okay to marry each other, it is okay to create families, and it is important to do it. It is a cultural thing. How to do it, when to do it, maybe with whom to do it. It depends on the culture strongly. Another important factor, religion. For a lot of people, not religious marriage is not possible. It depends on the country. It depends also sometimes just on the belief system of that person. In some countries, religion has like a bigger role in society, which is why you kind of cannot avoid using religion in your marriage proposal, whatnot. In other countries, it also almost doesn't matter. It is more a personal preference of people who are trying to come in this marriage relationship. It is important for them to have like religion as a part of it. That's why they do it, or they do not. And another like fourth example, what this contract between people can be important for: finances. Depending on the country, families have different like financial status in the society, different financial responsibilities to the country, in the society, or to other people, and also different financial opportunities to them, because there are two people or even more, and not only one person. It shall be said that earlier marriage wasn't really equal rights thing. It was more like men decide what to do thing. Also, it depends on the country, but in most cases, yes, it was like that. A woman part of the marriage normally had to give up their independence. When they become the part of the marriage, they become dependent on their man, on the husband, and they also couldn't really leave the relationship, they couldn't really leave the marriage, they had to be a part of it. A man could decide whatever that person wanted, the husband, but wife not really. Obviously nowadays it is better than it was like around 50 years ago, or even way better than 100 years ago, but we shall not forget that not all countries have stuff in the same way. Forced marriage is still a thing. It's a thing that when one person doesn't have a choice, that person has to marry another person because that person was sold, or that person was pressured, or that person was by some psychological or financial means, or whatever else. That person doesn't really have a choice to do it or not to do it. Child marriage is also a topic that is sadly important for a lot of countries. If I'm not mistaken, I looked it up because of other reasons, because of another video. 11% of marriages in Vietnam in 2017, if I'm not mistaken, were done with like underage marriage. So like the women in that relationship were underage at the moment of marriage, which is not really a nice thing, if you ask me. Let's talk about different types of marriage, and we start with like more obvious one: heterosexual and homosexual marriage. Heterosexual people that are participating in it, normally two, let's be honest, are of different sex. It's more like a traditional way of looking at marriage. There is a husband and there is a wife, and they live together and they strive. Homosexual marriage, logically, is a marriage of two people of the same sex, and it is not really legal in a lot of countries, in most of the countries, to be honest. Only in around 30 countries in the world out of 195, around like that, so like something like that. Only like in 30 countries it is legal for homosexual people to have a marriage. Obviously, heterosexual marriage is not something uncommon. Homosexual marriage is. I think it's like pretty clear from my explanation prior to now. Then we have concepts of endogamy and exogamy. Endogamy is when people try to marry people from same culture, or maybe same ethnic group, or maybe same religion, so from some similar societal group that they are in, or they participate in, or they were born in. Whereas exogamy is like the opposite stuff. So it is, for example, interracial marriage. It is marriage between people from different religions, different ethnic groups, different whatnot. So people come from different backgrounds and decide to marry. Again, depending on the country, on religion, on some other topics, it is important for people that you find a spouse from the same culture, or from the same religion, or like for the same social status group. A great example, Europe, during its history. Monarchy people were like, let's have sex and let's marry other monarchy people. And after some time there were like 10 families and they just had sex with each other. Pretty strange stuff if you ask me, but that is what endogamy also is. Monarchy people just have sex with other monarchy people, or actually just marry with other monarchy people. Because let's be honest, social status wasn't that important in terms of sex. An important difference here is, was it like a decision, was it a preference to look for the person from the same culture and whatnot, or was it like you didn't really have a choice because of the pressure of the society, or your parents, or like people from your friend groups and whatnot? Because obviously a lot of people have preference for people from the same background because of various reasons, cultural reasons. It is easier for people to understand each other if they are from the same groups, from the same social group. But sometimes people don't really have a choice, because otherwise their parents will say go away, or like their friends will say I hate you and whatnot. Great examples are some stricter religions like conservative Judaism, conservative Catholicism, conservative Islam. Like these guys, they don't care about other religious groups. You have to marry inside this religious group, because otherwise you are a bad person and you are bad behind God, and we will throw you out. Sometimes it really happens. Sometimes people throw their parts of the family away because exogamy. And exogamy is bad, right? Actually, no, not really. Next type Monogamy, polygamy. I think you've heard both of these words and they are not really difficult to comprehend. We start with monogamy. Monogamy means that there are like only two people that are participating in this interaction and they have relationship and marriage only with each other. Being it on a societal level, being it on a financial level, being on sexual level, there are only these two people and they only interact with each other. They don't have sex with other people, they don't have family with other people, they don't have relationships with other people. I mean like intimate relationships, not like friendships. They have it only with each other. And then we have polygamy, basically everything else, like people have relationship with people, and there are different kinds of it, there are different kinds of polygamy. Because normally, on a lot of occasions during our history of humanity, it was not like group and group of same sex. It was more like one person of one group and many people of another group. For example, polygyny or polygyny or whatever the word is, it is when one man has multiple women, one husband has multiple wives. And we have polyandry, it is when one wife has different husbands, or different husbands have one wife. Depending on the history, this difference was important. And then we have group marriage. That is basically the case of many people of one sex and many people of other sex decide to be together in eyes of society, government, religion, God, whatever. They have this big group marriage. Nowadays, polygamous marriage is not allowed in most of the countries. Polygyny can be found in some Middle Eastern countries and in North African countries. Polyandry can still be found sometimes in India and Tibet, and group marriage is more common on really pieces of the world that you don't really come to, some hidden parts of the world. But in most of the cases, polygamous marriage is forbidden. It is forbidden by law, and sometimes you will even need to pay fine. I'm not sure what is the consequences, but it's not only prohibited but also persecuted to have polygamous marriage. Which doesn't mean that there are no ways for many people to have relationship with each other. Basically, the main question is, do you want to make it official? Or really official in eyes of the country, government, culture and whatnot. Because there is polyamory. Polyamory is polygamy, but without the word marriage. It is polygamy, but only in relationship. That is polyamory, relationship between various people, so intimate relationship or relationship between many people, not only two people. There is also an open marriage. It is open relationship, but open marriage. So basically we have the monogamous marriage, so marriage between two people that decide to be with each other for their life, in the eyes of country, government and culture, but who agreed between them that it is okay to do some of the things that are normally associated with marriage or intimate relationship with other people. For example, have sex with other people but no relationship with other people. It is okay to have maybe relationship with other people, but maybe not some specific kinds of it. So it is do whatever you want as long as we both agree about this whatever we want to thing. And also country and government don't really look at us, they just think that we are just a normal family, just two parents. That's all. And in conclusion, I will talk about cohabitation. It is not really a marriage, it is something like substitute for marriage, and for some people it is a first step prior to marriage, and it is basically a relationship where two people or many people live together in one place. Because on a lot of occasions, marrying somebody, having a wedding, it's not more than just signing a paper. It's just signing a contract, because life didn't really change or haven't really changed from prior to signing that paper and afterwards. Just some bureaucracy that has to be filled. And a hell lot of marriages in modern times start like that. There are more conservative views on marriage, that you shall not have sex prior to marriage, you shall not live together prior to marriage, you shall just hold hands prior to marriage and whatnot. But let's be honest, most of the people think a little bit differently about marriage. And that's where cohabitation starts. It is like preparation for marriage. Let us kind of play the marriage prior to having the marriage. Let us kind of have the marriage without this whole law stuff behind it, without the societal pressure in terms of we have to have a family and whatnot. It is just living together, having fun together, having a relationship together. Maybe in the future we will make it official, but at the moment we're just having a good time. That's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed the video. If it is the case, please drop a like. You can also subscribe to the channel. You can also leave a comment about whatever. Maybe you learned something new and you want to share it with other people. And I see you next Monday. Have a great week.